When you drive for a delivery app, your sense of direction is entirely handed over to a screen. You are conditioned to lock your eyes onto a glowing blue line and follow it blindly, even when it leads you deep into isolated, unfamiliar terrain at the most vulnerable hours of the night. For one driver, accepting an order at 1:45 a.m. felt like a completely routine, low-stakes transaction. It was just a quiet way to earn extra cash and chip away at student loans while the rest of the city slept. The algorithm, however, is built to incentivize risk. This specific order required driving far outside the safety of the normal, heavily populated delivery zones, but it came attached to a highly lucrative tip. That simple financial lure is all it takes to accept the job. Looking at the route on this map, you can see the drastic geographic shift. The trip starts right here in the illuminated safety of the urban grid. But as the drive progresses, the glowing line stretches outward, eventually dead-ending in a massive, dark void with absolutely no other roads or landmarks. The physical environment precisely matched that digital isolation. The property at the end of the line was engulfed in total darkness. There were no porch lights, no illumination from inside the windows, and absolutely no sound. With the app confirming he has reached the destination, the driver steps out of the car. Despite the lack of lights and the heavy silence, he begins the walk to the door, treating the destination not as a potential threat, but as an instruction to be completed. The driver sat in the locked car for a moment, staring through the windshield at the pitch-black property, hesitating to step onto the dark lawn. The stalemate ended with a notification. An unprompted message appeared in the delivery interface with a highly specific instruction: come to the back, don't knock. This forces a bizarre internal conflict. The driver is suddenly forced to weigh natural self-preservation against the immediate penalty of a bad rating or a canceled gig economy transaction. He finds himself standing in the dark, looking at a strange text, but still calculating how to finish the job so he can move on to the next one. In this ecosystem, he has learned to treat a red flag as just another customer quirk. Moving from the street to the rear of the property means leaving the ambient safety of the streetlights completely behind. The physical pathway narrows instantly, boxed in by high, dense shadows that severely limit visibility. Halfway down that narrow path, the total silence was broken by a distinct sound. A branch snapped. A few seconds later, slow, deliberate footsteps echoed through the unseen yard. The footsteps weren't moving toward the driveway to receive the food. They were staying out of sight, pacing through the grass, slowly circling the driver in the dark. Faced with the auditory evidence of a threat, the mind scrambles to construct a benign explanation. The driver frantically tried to attribute the sounds to a stray animal or a socially anxious homeowner to maintain a sense of normalcy. When deprived of visual confirmation, the human brain will build whatever fiction is necessary to avoid confronting the reality of an active ambush. The driver reached the destination. Before a knock or a greeting could happen, the heavy back door creaked open a few inches under its own weight. It revealed nothing but absolute, impenetrable darkness inside the frame. Still attempting to fulfill the job, the driver placed the food on the ground and immediately stepped backward to create a safe physical buffer zone. That is the moment the expectation of a routine delivery collapsed. From inside the house, he heard the heavy, collective rustling of multiple people shifting their weight in the dark. Then came a final sound. A low, muffled whisper leaked out from the dark interior. It sounded strained, like someone physically restrained trying to speak, managing a single word. Help. The digital illusion shattered entirely. The physical environment forcefully contradicted the app's premise, proving that the person on the other side of that door was not a customer. A man stepped silently out of the surrounding shadows, deliberately blocking the path back to the street. He made no demands and offered no explanation. He simply stood completely rigid, unblinking, observing the driver in the dark. The delivery protocols evaporated. The driver dropped the item, spun around, and sprinted blindly through the shadows toward the car. Pulling out of the driveway, the headlights swept across the property, illuminating the true scale of the trap. 3 additional figures were standing silently at the edge of the tree line, watching the vehicle flee. This was a geographically coordinated, multi-person ambush, perfectly camouflaged as a mundane service transaction. The driver escaped to a main road and immediately called the authorities. Police arrived shortly after to investigate the property. They found a completely abandoned house. It was stripped of furniture, void of life, with the bag of food still sitting untouched on the back concrete step. When the driver opened the app to cancel his shift, he found that the order had already been closed. It was officially marked as delivered. The confirmation photo uploaded to the server shows the back of the driver, captured from the perspective of the dark bushes behind them. The perpetrators were never ordering food. They weaponized the app's algorithm to successfully order an isolated human being directly to an empty lot.